So you've been hearing a lot about the cloud today, and I thought what Michael presented from Forrester was a very interesting perspective, which kind of matched with what HP is talking about as well. So I'm here today to talk to you more about what EJ this morning told you about services. And you must be thinking, we are talking about data center related services, how is it related to the cloud, and how does this all come together? But before we go there, I want to give you a perspective. As I said, as Richard said, and as you probably know, I'm privileged to lead and manage the consulting business in Asia Pacific and Japan. And in the course of my job, I travel widely in the region, and I come across several customers. And almost all of them want to be in the cloud in some shape or form. And what I have found, and this is something which I find very surprising, is in most countries, over 60% of these customers are not ready for the cloud. So they have issues of old, aging infrastructure. They have issues which do not allow them to scale, which do not allow them to be completely efficient. And that is where the services component actually comes in, because it's, as Michael said, cloud is not just a technology. What you're buying, and when you're buying something related to cloud, you're buying an ability to speed and to provision very fast. So it's a way of provisioning. And that is where I think services play comes in. And in my belief, and I'm quite vocal about this, I believe that the consulting services that HP has is actually a significant differentiator for HP as we try and take our customers on their journey to the cloud. And how do we do that? We do that by becoming what we call the trusted advisor to the customer. So what is a trusted advisor? A trusted advisor is a person who actually sits on the sidelines, looks at the entire program holistically, and gives you the right advice, or gives the customer the right advice in terms of how they should go about implementing and moving ahead in their cloud journey. And if you look at the bottom of the chart, it talks about the various domains. Whether it is real estate, you heard John earlier talk about from cloud side, how he's building a cloud era data center. So that's the real estate piece. Then there is a huge component of networks. There is server, there is storage, there is migration, there is remediation, testing, and so on. And what we believe, what our services people do, our professional service professionals do, our consultants, what they do, is they act as trusted advisors to our customer, helping to bring together the total program office so that the customer is actually able to embark and successfully implement his cloud journey and realize his cloud vision. EJ did talk to you about these services this morning very briefly. So one of the things that always come to our mind is what is different between a traditional data center and a cloud-ready data center. So if you were to ask me that question, what I would say is it's all about speed, it is about efficiency, and it is about reliability. And you can see that the services that we have put out here, some of them are new, some of them are refreshed based on our experience that we've had with customers. The first set of services is around strategy, is around data center strategy, and that really addresses the speed, the time to market. The second set of services is mostly around the operations, and that is addressing the need for efficiency. And the third set of services, which is around continuity, addresses the issue of reliability. So I'm repeating myself. You look for in a cloud data center, you're actually looking for the speed, efficiency, and reliability. And all our services that we are launching is actually targeted at these three areas because we are focusing on data center strategy, data center operations, and continuity. And this actually allows us to go across the entire life cycle of the data center. Also allows us to address the various domains of data center, which is facilities, it could the network, servers, storage, infrastructure, management, operations, and so on. So this is why I heard Steve earlier mention this morning that HP has the most unique story in the data center space in terms of a complete solution. In fact, he was bold enough to say that we are the only company on the planet. And I think there's very good reason to say that. Simply because the intellectual property that we have with Converged infrastructure, the intellectual property that we have where we are deploying designs for John's company like CloudSite, the intellectual property that is there in networking, in server and storage, wrapped around with a fantastic array of consulting and implementation services makes the journey very smooth for any customer who is actually out to go and realize this cloud vision. Having said that, I will take a few minutes and talk to a few of these services. Now there are 12 services, but if I go through all of those, I'm afraid I will put you all to sleep. So rather than do that, I'll probably pick 2 or 3 and try to give you some examples so that it makes it very easy to understand. So one of the first ones we talk about, which is what we call rapid investment analysis. Earlier in the day, you heard DJ say that most data centers in this region are about 7 years old. Now, many of you have been in the IT industry for a long time. You know that what is happening is the life cycle or lifespan of servers and networks and all that is shortening. It used to be 10 years, it became 6 years, 7 years, 5 years, and now they're becoming like PCs, which is 3 years. And PCs are going to a year, year and a half. But you also know that when people build data centers, they build them for 15 years, 20 years, and so on. So here you have, a huge issue where you have a house which is built for last for 20 years. But what is inside the house in terms of applications, in terms of network, storage, infrastructure, etc., is actually the lifespan is shortening and things are becoming more smarter and more technologically advanced. This gives a lot of issues in terms of power, in terms of cost, efficiency, ability to scale, cooling, and so on. This is the precise reason why many of the customers are actually afraid to embark on the cloud journey. Though everybody wants to go there, this is one reason. They are afraid of security, they are afraid of losing control, they are afraid of service level issues, and so on. What we do in this service is we spend a few weeks to really understand and actually using our consulting capability, consult and give a report to the customer, saying this is the preferred approach that you should take. Does it make sense for a customer to go and transform his data center when he's in year 7, year 9, year 10, and so on? Of course, this will depend upon the business he's in, the way his business is growing, the future plans that he has, the current IT infrastructure that he has, and so on. But this is a very interesting three weeks exercise, which allows us to consult and advise the customer in terms of how should he go across. So we call it rapid investment. I'll give you another one, which is called data center sourcing strategy. Now, as you all know, when you are looking to sourcing a data center or re-looking at a data center, you have various options. You can build a completely new one. You can retrofit what you already have, you can tweak it, you can expand it and so on. Or you can go externally and go and look at hosting service providers and so on who can offer these services. So in this service, which typically takes 5 to 6 weeks for us, we actually again look at the current environment, the future plans, the existing infrastructure, the age of the applications, and then we advise the customer in terms of what sourcing strategy they should adopt. Now you would know that in China and India, many of the customers have actually opted to go for building new data centers, greenfield. Now why is that? Because it makes economic good sense to do so. Because the availability of power in certain locations is much higher. Because land, labor, and other areas of investment are much cheaper available if you are moving out of the building that you are currently in. The current building may have issues in terms of power, cooling, and so on. And this is one service which is actually very popular. We did this for a couple of large banks in India, and the results were outstanding. Even though these banks were actually based in one of the large cities, the decision made was to actually move out to another location and actually build completely ground up, which actually caused consolidation and collapsing of some of the data centers. I now move to another service, which is the data center strategy and business case. Now, data center strategy service is actually not new, but we have refreshed this by adding the business case. And here, what I would actually like to talk to you about, in Singapore, for one of the European banks, we did a data center strategy exercise. It was a 10-week engagement where we basically advised them on how they should go about in terms of their data center strategy. So here what we do is we look at the asset situation, what they have today, and then sitting with them, with their heads of business, with their strategy people, we look at where is it that they want to be in future, and then we do some kind of gap planning. So how do we go from where you are to where you want to be? And that gap planning actually comes out in terms of the data center strategy for the customer. And what we realized was many customers in Asia Pacific are bound by budgets, and they are bound by their CFOs who make decisions, and many a project can actually get killed when it gets to the board. So that is where the business case and the ROI comes in. So what we did was we refreshed this, we've done business cases separately, but we have actually combined this to make it a good offering. Because what we end up doing is, other than the data center strategy, we also do an ROI investment business case, which is a financial business case, which actually proves that the return on investment is good for the company going forward. This is a part of the service which allows us to look at how many, what sort of space is being used, what sort of maintenance is being paid on the equipment that is there currently, what sort of people, operational costs are there, what is the support cost, and so on. And how much power is being consumed, and so on. And this allows us to project how it will look like in the future, and that helps us to make a business case. So this is something which we believe is something which will be very relevant to Asia Pacific. And we just put these two services together to make it into a strategy and ROI or business case service. There's one more which I would like to talk about, which is around service management and capability assessment. I think again this morning EJ talked about linking the facility to the infrastructure. One of the things that we notice, particularly in many customers, or even in some of our competition, they actually ignore certain elements and do not link the facility that well with the infrastructure. This is very critical because like Adrian was talking about in his business, or when there is a huge load in IT, you actually need to provide the power that is required. So you need to be able to staff up in terms of, resource up in terms of UPS systems, power backup systems, cooling systems, and so on, based on the load that is there in the data center. Here in this capability assessment, we look at both IT as well as facilities, and we look at what are the service levels that are required. What level of service? What are the peaks? What are the troughs? What service level do we need to provide? And accordingly, the sizing and the scoping is done. And we look for consistency here. So there could be a vendor providing UPS, there could be a vendor providing power, and there could be a vendor providing the IT equipment, the networks, the server, the storage, and so on. We look for consistency across, and we try to resize them in such a way that the SLAs of the business needs are actually met. So that's one of the services that we have, what we call ITSM capability. We actually use the de facto European standard, which is the ITIL. You must have heard about it, the information library, IT information library. We use that de facto standard in our service management methodology, and that actually helps us. We map where the customer is on a maturity model, and then come out with steps that he needs to do in order to achieve or get to the next level of maturity. So this was a flavor of some of the services. And basically I want to wrap up, and rather than just say why HP, I want you to think about this. If you want to get to the cloud, who would you actually work with? Would you work with just somebody who's providing you the technology, or would you work with somebody who's providing you a complete holistic solution? A solution that spans across the life cycle of the data center, which is starting from the strategy stage, the design stage, the operations, and the business continuity, who is able to offer you the most three critical areas in terms of cloud-ready data center, which is, to repeat myself, speed, efficiency, and reliability, and a vendor who actually spans across the various domains, whether it is facilities, whether it is infrastructure in the form of server storage networks, or it is management, operations, and applications. So that is why we believe that HP is best suited for. And we have done this in Asia Pacific several times. We have very interesting services. We have a group of very capable professionals. And as EJ said, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Our business, and I'm proud to say, our business in consulting has grown 4 to 5 times in almost every market, even including in countries like Japan. And that is proof of, that's a validation of the faith that our customers have actually kept or placed with us. And the way we do it is being a true facilitator, being a true trusted advisor. And that's why we think we are best positioned